Chapter 22 Market Forces 11th of the 3rd, 2019 11:15 a.m. The Bagel House, Brick Lane, London, E1. I spent last night on my laptop reading about the history of different London markets. With Brick Lane being so close to Spitalfields, the two markets have a shared history in terms of the demographic and the services they provide for the community. The Brick Lane area has been a haven for immigrants over the last 100 years or so, and that pattern has continued to this day. First the Irish, then the Jews, and now those who have moved from Southeast Asia tend to dominate the area. Such is the influx of immigrants from Bangladesh, Brick Lane is now known locally as Banglatown. The dominant culture of the area might have changed, but the diversity hasn't. In amongst the curry houses and kebab shops, you can still find traditional Jewish fare and everything else from Irish pubs to Japanese sushi. The market is famous for its diversity and for its array of colourful stalls. They boast you can buy everything here. If you want it, someone will be selling it. Before, during and after the Second World War, Jewish immigrants settled around Brick Lane as they looked to make a home for themselves in a relatively safe and accommodating city. The majority moved to the East End where housing was cheaper and work was plentiful. The busy docks provided most of the jobs. It was safer in numbers, I suppose, with many experiencing persecution firsthand. A life in London, no matter how miserable and run down, was better than the place they were fleeing. As with any influx of migrants, the locals tend to be suspicious and judgmental, regardless of skin colour or language. The Jews' period of transition into London life was not without problems. Anti-Semitism was less demonstrative but still prevalent, and prejudice, and in some cases violence, was still common. Acceptance and tolerance come with time, and a Jewish community around Brick Lane was soon established and thriving. By the 1960s the scene was changing again. The Jews migrated, this time to North London, as other new visitors to the city moved in, bringing their culture, their colour and cuisine with them. This change did not happen overnight, but it's strange to visit the place now and imagine it to be any different. It's certainly not hard to imagine Ernie at the heart of it. Mum sent me the links so I could read the Facebook group comments from her post. It was great to see so many older folk on there, sharing memories and photos. It was even better to read the comments from people who remember Ernie. She posted her request for information at 8:45 a.m. yesterday morning, and by 10 a.m. she had over 60 likes and 25 comments, 5 of which said they knew or had heard of Ernie. Every message was a positive one. Everything backed up and reiterated what I already knew about him. Great guy, what a character, a bloody good laugh, heart of gold. Some just commented on the stall or the market in general at that time. I remember that stall, someone said. I bought some flowers for a girl I fancied from there. It was a busy little place, very popular. I can remember the two of them setting up the stall every morning, ebony and ivory. It would seem like Ernie had a business partner on the stall, and without stating the obvious, unless he was a coalman, he was almost certainly black, or as black, or a man of colour, as we are obliged to say now, I think. Or was that last week's term? You know what I mean, Mr. Diary. You can be un-PC while trying to be PC. Mum says she will send me any new links or comments she may receive throughout the day. I've texted her to tell her where I am. I may as well familiarise myself with the market and see if there are any bargains to be had along the way. I shall update you when I have more news, Mr. D. 12:30 p.m. Well, I've bought an umbrella in the colours of the Jamaican flag, 3 pairs of black socks from a Turkish ice cream van, and a small clutch of Lucky Heather from a gypsy woman who followed me around for 10 minutes until I parted with £2 in order to release me from her spell. The fun doesn't end there, Mr. Diary. Mum sent me more links and the social media world has been in meltdown. That same post now has 422 likes and 178 comments. She texted to say she had also had 18 new friends requests from members of the group. Popular lady. I'm now sat on a picnic bench at the side of the road. I'm not sure why it's here. It might even be for sale, but no one's bothering me, and it's as good a place as any to write. Most comments on that link followed in the same vein as previous compliments, but one revealed the name of his business partner on the stall, Curtis Long. It didn't go into any more detail than that, but it was progress. We had another name to search for. As I read through the other comments, Mum forwarded me a second Facebook link. It appeared that she'd been accepted for the Brick Lane Market Group. I opened up that link and I could see she'd posted the same request for information on there. This group had a much larger list of members, over 13,000, and her comment had been posted at 8:30 a.m. and had already drew a steady stream of likes and comments. This group was very much focused on the market's history and development since its origin back in the 17th century. The group almost seemed to be linked to a number of others, documenting the history of the East End, and Mum had sent a request to join some of them too. She was really getting into this. The comments on this thread were clearly from older people who lived and worked in Brick Lane around the same time Ernie must have. A lot remembered him too. It was great to read. I'll keep refreshing the page and the link throughout the afternoon, but the following comments referenced Ernie directly. The post had clearly jogged a few memories, and I can imagine these elderly folk tapping away on their computers to share their thoughts with everybody, or nobody, on the World Wide Web. One said, "Everybody knew Ernie at that time. He was like a real-life Del Boy. Blooming Marvellous sold flowers, yes, but it sold everything else as well. I don't know where they got half the stuff from. Whatever you wanted, they could get it. I remember my mum once asked him for a tortoise, and he had it for her the following week." Saida Ali, East Ham. Another, "Ernie provided the flowers for my sister's funeral. He lived just down the road from us. He wouldn't take a penny for them. I remember my dad, in tears, coming back from the market to tell us. We didn't have much, and he wouldn't take any money off us. We never forgot that. What an act of kindness." Julie Roberts from Stratford. And then another, "Ernie was our neighbour on Hutton Street. He used to come around with Curtis to play cards on a Tuesday night. We only played for biscuits or fags because we didn't have the money to gamble, but it was such a laugh. We were all useless and couldn't hold a poker face for love nor money. We just used to crack up laughing. Curtis had the most infectious laugh ever. Other neighbours used to come over to see what the fuss was about, and ended up rolling around laughing with us. We couldn't even remember why half the time. Those were the days." Dave Sykes, Essex. And another, "It must have been around 1972 when I met Ernie. We used to have competitions to see who could pick the widest flared trousers from the market. Fashions were terrible in those days, and we didn't do ourselves any favours. When I look back at some of the photographs from that era, we were lucky to get ourselves a date, never mind a girlfriend. We were getting a bit old to try and keep up with the fashions, but it was such a good time. I loved those years. I wonder what he's up to now." Alistair Deacon, Colchester. Another, "The boys used to bring lots of flowers up to the church at St. Anne's, those that had just started to wilt from the stall, and we used them inside the building around the altar, or share them with the elderly members of the congregation. They were always so very grateful. We all were. I sometimes wondered how those two ever made money, as they gave so much away. Money wasn't their god, that's for sure. They were just so happy all of the time." Joe Clayton, London. My mum posted the question, "When did the stall close? Does anyone know what happened to him?" I noticed the message had only been posted 5 minutes earlier. I would have to give it time and refresh the page later to see if anybody could help. But it showed that he was still in the area in 1972 at least. He would have been in his 40s then. We're getting there. Slowly but surely, we're getting there.